Behold, young warrior, the riddle of steel, the ACI-15. And answering the riddle of steel, is this worthy of your $500 or so? We're going to test it and find out. Stick around. That's Sub-MOA, pretty sure. All right, Andro Corp. Been around for quite a while and making solid, reputable, but budget AR-15s. So let's jump into the overview here. We've got a 16-inch barrel. This is a 4150 CMV, which is the gold standard steel that you want in your barrel. One of the first things that I noticed is that the castle nut is properly staked in the rear here. And if we pull it open, we see that the gas key is staked also. Attention to detail like that, overall quality. Appreciate those kinds of things. All right, folks, let's check out our initial impressions on the ACI-15 here. This is Andro Corp Industries, pretty well reputed budget banger of a rifle. Let's get our first impressions and see what we think. Damn it, YouTube. The 20s are a little too short to stick out of my pocket. Injection pattern seems to be a little bit forward. Good, okay. Rails heating up. Impulse is a little rough compared to like the Zion 15, which I just recently reviewed. It's a little bit harsher. Controlled pairs are still pretty easy, but I want to see if I can push into threes and still manage that muzzle. It is jumping around just a little bit, but overall, really good first impressions. Folks, I got a question for you. Now, when you run the budget AR-15s, oftentimes they will end up coming with the old M4 carbine stock here, and leaves a lot to be desired. But one issue that we run into is, how do you attach a sling? You can't do QD like you would on some of the more modern furniture that's out there. So I found a gas station carabiner and just hooked it up here. What solutions do you guys use? Are there any cool products out there that you're using that would help fit an application like this? Let me know in the comments below. I destroyed the target. Yeah, recoil impulse is a little bit more stiff on this than the Zion. It's still a 22, so it's not bad, but YouTube has robbed me of my normal elevation with 30 rounders, but we'll just adapt and overcome. Very nice. This thing has been very reliable from what we've seen so far, pretty accurate. The ejection pattern is a little bit shifty. I've seen it, I mean, we're shooting the same AAC 5.56 55 grain forward of 3 o'clock and then sometimes back to like 4 or 4:30, but it's been consistent. It hasn't failed to fire anything. Pretty good overall so far. Like I said, the recoil impulse is a little bit stiffer than the Zion 15, but good first impressions. Now we'll jump into the ergonomics a little bit. Starting back at the back, this is one of the places where ultimately almost always see budget manufacturers save some money, and that is the M4 carbine stock. There's no QD. This hole has been known to gobble up beard hairs. Don't ask me how I know. And just really not a lot to like about it, but is absolutely functional, and it's bare minimum inexpensive. So that's one of the choices that a lot of budget manufacturers end up using. The A2 grip, old school AR-15 here. You know, it's got kind of a rubbered texture. It's got good grip on it, but it's also got this hump right here in between the fingers. Some people absolutely love it. A lot of people can't stand it, and they take it off and replace it with something that they prefer. So you've got your mag release up here, and then your bolt catch and release on this side, and of course your fire controls. That's all you got. Your charging handle. You've got the left side latching, anemic, tiny little mil-spec, terrible charging handle that again is one of those money-saving devices that, you know, keeps the overall price down, and a lot of people will immediately go out and change them anyway. Good lockup on the fore-end. It's like really solid here, and you've got M-lock, 4 positions, and then QD. And one thing I'll note about this QD is that it's not the fancy kind that has the anti-rotate tabs in it. Your QD will absolutely rotate in here, so keep that in mind. And then of course a Picatinny rail all the way down the front, ending in an A2 birdcage. So that is our overall ergonomics for the ACI-15. All right, folks, so we're moving on to the accuracy portion of the ACI-15, and so far proving to be a pretty interesting budget banger. We're gonna shoot our MOA testing using AAC 55 grain, but we've also got some Gold Dot Spear LE duty ammunition. This is also 55 grain. But for the heavier stuff, we're gonna use Federal Premium, Gold Medal, Sierra Match Keen. These are 69 grain. And then finally, Nosler's 223. This is 77 grain. And we've had some pretty good success with both of these. They're heavier weight ammo, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform in such a budget rifle.
Dude.
That's Sub-MOA, pretty sure.
I think that's sub, dude.
All right, folks, we're going to talk briefly about this optic. Now, this is a Vortex Strike Eagle, but it's a 5-225, and that is a heck of a lot of glass. But part of what we go through here when we test rifles, firearms in general, is trying to give you, the viewer or the reader, unadulterated feedback that you can use to make it part of your calculations about what you want to buy, what kind of gear you're interested in. I know a lot of people don't need any more than 1 to 8 or 1 to 6 or 1 to 4 maybe. Some people shoot groups with irons. I need some magnification. So this is very beneficial for me because it helps eliminate me as a potential problem for accuracy for the rifle. So we have a very budget rifle here today, and I wanted to get every possible chance to succeed. So I increased the magnification, mounted this scope up. Scope's probably worth more than the rifle. End result is really good. I was able to get my vision dialed in through this magnification and score some pretty good groups. We're gonna go down range now, we'll show you. Okay, our first group with the 55 grain AAC, I was not sure what we were gonna ultimately experience for accuracy, and AAC for us has been very good. The 55 grain, a little bit spread out on windage there, but the elevation is still pretty good. Then we moved to Spear, also 55 grain, and a little bit better group. You know, we had like a almost 3-inch group here. This is closer to 2, all 5 shots there at 100 yards. But then we've got a 1-in-7 barrel twist on our 16-inch 4150 CMB barrel. And the next group was Federal. This is the 69 grain. And you can see that tightened up really nicely. And then ultimately switched to the Nosler 77 grain. That is 1 inch or less. Pretty surprisingly good accuracy on what's probably in the range of a $500 rifle. All right, another area where manufacturers tend to save some money, pass on that savings to budget-minded shoppers, is the trigger. And so we see a lot of mil-spec triggers that come out. Again, it's one of those things that's pretty easy to replace and not terribly expensive. And it does make a big difference in how you set up your rifle, what kind of application you're using your rifle for. So you can get all kinds of different triggers out there. But we're gonna demonstrate this one. During our MOA testing, it was fairly bad. I noticed almost 3 different places where it would stop along the way, trying to get to that final wall before I would break the shot. Start pulling back, a little bit of wiggle, a little bit more. There, it broke. Reset, obviously, with mil-specs, always very good. Very positive, but it's just this kind of creep. 1, 2, 3, there we go. When I was first shooting MOA, it was 1, 2, 3, and then it would break. But I found that the more I break these triggers in, the more they kind of smooth out. So ultimately, this one is perfectly fine. It will absolutely work, but it is pretty mil-spec, so just keep that in mind. Folks, let's get into our final thoughts on the ACI-15 here and answer that question that we ultimately asked up front, which is, you know, for $500 roughly, is this a good purchase? And the answer is absolutely. Absolute perfect reliability out of this thing. The only thing that was close to a malfunction was when we tested it with a hex mag, it wouldn't drop clear. It was just a little bit tight on the tolerances. And so even completely flat, horizontal, I would press the magazine release and the mag would just hang there. That was the only magazine that we tested out of 5 different brands that had any problems with dropping clearly. Everything else, fed, fired, lock back, everything functioned absolutely perfect, over 500 rounds. If you want to talk about reliability, that's the best score that you can get. Absolutely solid accuracy. And again, it's a 4150 CMB barrel, so you're going to get good long life out of it, and the accuracy is proven based upon the performance that we saw. It didn't favor the 55 grain, which was more like 2 and 3 inch, but as soon as we hit the heavier weights with that 1 and 7 twist, we were able to realize some actually really good groupings there. The recoil impulse is a little bit rougher than, say, the Zion 15. That's the most recent one that we reviewed that I can compare it with, just fresh from memory. And the ejection pattern is a little bit wonky. Sometimes it's forward, sometimes it's back. Johnny says it follows him wherever he seems to go. So well, I believe that because I saw it happen multiple times. Those are those kind of things that you notice as within a performance envelope. You know, it's doing the job that it needs to do, and there's variances within ammo. But again, no malfunctions. So whatever the ejection pattern is doing, it's still functioning perfectly fine. For $500, you get a really good rifle who has reliability, who has accuracy, and that allows you to do other things that you might want to do, like replace the stock or replace the grip. Those would be 2 things that I would consider, and maybe even the trigger. Or hear me out, leave all of those just as they are. Go out and get yourself a decent optic, mount it up, something like the Vortex Spark or the Crossfire here, and you're good to go. You're off to the races. Get a sling and you're ready to go. But you can slowly save up from that point and change the other things as you see fit. Would I say this is duty rated? No, there are things about it that are certainly higher in quality, and I appreciate the fact that they have gone through and done staking on the gas key and on the castle nut, and that they've used a 4150 barrel, but I wouldn't call it necessarily duty rated. Again, it's one of these things that it's just a matter of preferences. Once you get into it for such a low price, you got options. All right, folks, so that's going to do it. Our final thoughts on the ACI-15. We love this rifle. I think it's great. It's a heck of a budget buy for $500 or right around that price. I want to recommend that you head over and check out our review on the Zion 15, which is also comparable. And then stay tuned because we've got the budget AR-15 video that's going to be coming up later this year. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate your support.